It all started with an accusation. In February of 1785, in the town of Blair, Ellie Kedward was found guilty of witchcraft after a group of children accused her of luring them to her home to extract their blood. She was taken out into the Black Hills woods, tied to a tree, and left to die of exposure. Shortly after, the children who accused her went missing, followed by many more of the town's children. Search parties were unable to locate them or the remains of Ellie Kedward, and the town of Blair was eventually abandoned. Whether Ellie Kedward was a victim or vessel for something already in the woods, or became the witch herself, this is where the legend of the Blair Witch begins. Hello, I'm Elise, this is Witch Way, and today I'll be taking you through the fictional history of the Blair Witch. There will be minor spoilers, but not so much as you wouldn't still be able to enjoy the films. So what happened after the legend was born? The accounts of the Blair Witch were anonymously published in great detail in 1809 with the book titled The Cult of the Blair Witch. Here's an extract from the book.
She controlled the animals of the forest, even the trees seeming to do her bidding. When she walked, she didn't touch the ground, and her followers made a horrible mulch of the countless dead littering the streets. The Blair Witch Cult, by Anonymous, 1809.
After the town of Blair was abandoned, it was later dubbed Burkittsville, and the Blair Witch would claim its next victim. Around 1825, Eileen Treacle was playing in a shallow river. Witnesses claim that a ghostly white hand emerged from the water, pulling the young girl down, and she was never seen again. For the next week, the river became oily and was clogged with twig effigies. In 1886, Robin Weaver goes missing, and a search party of 5 heads into the woods to find the young girl. Robin Weaver returns from the woods, talking about a woman whose feet never touch the ground, but the search party is not with her. Another group set out to find the first and, at the site dubbed Coffin Rock, make a gruesome discovery. The men have been disemboweled and bound together with marks carved into their flesh. The search group fled, and on returning with others, the bodies were gone. Then, in 1940, the Blair Witch began whispering to the hermit Rustin Parr, and once again children went missing. Parr killed 7 in total by the witch's instruction. Finally, it bid his work done, and he wandered into the town and confessed to his crimes. Sometime after, 2 men on a hunting trip went missing.
They were camped near the cabin or something that she's supposed to haunt.
No.
And they disappeared off the face of the earth.
No. Really?
Later, a fisherman claims to have seen the witch.
I tell you, I saw right up there by that tree, up the creek. I told you that.
Right, I know.
About 100 yards, I saw a white, misty thing that I can't tell what it is. I mean, anybody worth their salt around here knows that this area's been haunted by that old woman for years.
That's bullshit.
Another sighting by one Mary Brown gives an altogether different description.
But she just kept staring, and then she
Right.
opened up her shawl.
And what was under there?
And under it there was hair on her body like a
So she
horse.
was hairy from head to toe.
Yeah, and her legs, and you could see
Right, how
she
about
was
her
a
face?
female. With just kind of like strange.
These 2 accounts were given in interviews with Heather Donahue, who in 1994, along with Josh Leonard and Michael Williams, headed into the Black Hills woods to document the legend of the Blair Witch. Their footage was found in what was believed to be the ruins of Parr's house. The footage shows that the group become lost and are tormented by noises and voices at night. They also find twig effigies hanging in the trees and rocks piled outside their tents, foreshadowing their own graves. The footage ends in the same abandoned house where Parr killed children. However, we never do see the witch. This found footage was released as the film The Blair Witch Project in 1999, which garnered a massive cult following, and by the end of the year, people flocked to the Black Hills woods. One such group was led by Jeff Patterson on his tour, The Blair Witch Hunt. He would go on to write a film recounting the events of this tour titled Book of Shadows, which would be made into the 2000 film Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2. In this film, Jeff's tour group is made up of Stefan and Tristan, who are writing a book on mass hysteria,
Blair Witch, history or hysteria?
Hysteria or history.
the psychic Kim, who we meet lying on a treacle family grave, being goth as hell. Why'd she want to go?
I thought the movie was cool.
And of course, my favourite, the Wiccan Erica, who when arriving at the ruins of the Parr House misidentifies runes as being from the witch's alphabet. But what is she doing here?
Communing with Ellie Kedward. The Blair Witch.
Blair Witch Hunt, however, weren't the only group to be in the woods that night, as they encounter the Blair Witch Walk. These would be the next victims of the Blair Witch, their bodies found the next day at Coffin Rock, similar to the earlier victims of the witch. The Blair Witch Hunt, however, perhaps due to the very witch they were hunting, cannot remember what happened the night before, so they head back to Jeff's place in the woods to review their footage. Marks appear on their bodies, and the footage leads them to believe that one of them has been possessed by the witch. In 2014, James Donahue hopes to find out what happened to his sister after additional footage is uploaded online, so he heads into the woods with his friends Lisa, Peter, and Ashley, and the locals who found the footage, Talia and Lane. Mirroring the events of his sister's failed project, their found footage would also be made into a film with 2016's Blair Witch. After the first night, the group somehow oversleep until 2 p.m. the next day. Talia and Lane are banished from the group after faking twig effigies, and from their perspective, wander for 5 sunless days. The other group are tormented by noises in the woods and wake to a sunless morning, surrounded by more twig effigies, which influence the people they represent. An unseen force rips up the tents around them and the group scatters. A few of them eventually come across the same house where Heather and Michael ended up, and it's here we finally get to see the witch. Or at least one of its minions. It's tall and spindly, and if it was once human, not much remains. If this is the Blair Witch, it is strong and fast, but we know the Blair Witch can influence the minds of its victims. Due to this, the abilities of the witch aren't certain. It's possible some of the perceived actions aren't actually happening, but being projected into the minds of its victims. Can it mimic human voices, or are these communicated telepathically? Can it possess people, or does it just make them think so? Did the sun really not rise after 7 a.m? This could also explain the difference in the descriptions of the Blair Witch. This, or the witch has the ability to shapeshift. Some of the witch's traits has led to theories that it may be a certain evil spirit from Native American folklore, but these are just some of the many theories put forward in the years since the first footage was found. I'll link this in the description below so you can have a read through yourself. The information I gathered for this video is based solely on the 3 Blair Witch films and their accompanying mockumentaries. And I did have a quick look through the dossier of the Blair Witch Project, which you too can have a look through as it is available on the Internet Archive, so I will be sure to link that below. I wish I could have seen the Blair Witch Project when it first came out, as it was marketed as real found footage. Perhaps then it might not be my least favourite of the 3. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it and it paved the way for many more found footage films, but I really liked the Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2. Probably because it had more witchy elements and I really liked the soundtrack. Kim also speaks to my hidden goth side. But the 2016 Blair Witch film was definitely the most terrifying, very well shot, and it left me with so many questions, which was actually a good thing. There are also some accompanying video games. 3 volumes from 2000 that go into the stories of the first 3 accounts of the Blair Witch. And in 2019, a survival horror game was released set in 1996, where you search for a missing child in the Black Hills woods. And there are several books recounting tales of the Blair Witch, known as the Blair Witch Files. What was your favorite film? Let me know in the comments, as well as any witchy recommendations for my witch lore reviews. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and thank you very much for watching here on Witch Way.